an honor and a privilege it is to finally be featuring here as I turn down my last feature because I'm a stuck-up, self-righteous prick. Don't ask me, there's plenty of other people who will definitely validate that. So, actually, Eugene, this is my first poetry slam feature. I've featured in many other places, but this is the first slam I've ever featured, so it's rather an honor to be here. It's kind of a tradition anytime I do a feature set that I do one cover, because this is not so much a celebration of me, but a celebration of poetry. Just as of recently, one of my dearest friends, actually, if it wasn't for him, I never would have been involved in Poetry Slam. John Survivor Blake just released a book of poetry, and this is the poem that every time I read it, every time I watch the video on YouTube, I still can't stop crying. It is my biography and my battle cry, and I'm absolutely deeply indebted to John Survivor Blake for just being him and for this poem. It's entitled At Risk. At the Santa Fe Juvenile Detention Program, at-risk youths stabbed me with serrated gazes, where stitched razor scars like caterpillars crawling across their cheeks, tattooed along the slit lines of necks, but soften after each poem. After an hour, pencils are grabbed and counted. A school bus unhinges its jaws for the ones not locked down, the homeless kids forbidden from attending mainstream school with no address, whose only crime is poverty, herded back to a teen shelter, a garage for strollers with no one to push. The rest are lined up, marched back to sky blue walls of a shark tank, back to cinder block and steel, back to echo, to one pillow, one blanket, two sheets, one pillowcase. They pass me poems on their way out like please, folded smaller than matchbooks. This is against the rules, but I pocket them like bags of dope. Their earth-toned faces proud, with or without proper grammar. They congratulate me on finding recovery, teach me how to bump fists with Southwest flair. Guards thank me for the break. The coordinator smiles, assures me that I've got through to some, and hands me a check and drives me off the premises. Outside, alone, I reach for my smokes and find a bundle of lives against my thigh. I pull children out of my pocket, unfold their hearts, and listen. 1. I've seen more than most 15-year-olds should. My boyfriend is 40. I used to suck dick so he could get high. I got busted with all of his drugs while he went to the liquor store. I haven't heard from him. I'm wondering if he ever loved me. 2. I used to tie up my mother's arm so she could shoot up. It was the only time she smiled. She leaned on me, and I did not know who the child was or the parent. 3. I felt icicles under my eyes after they shot my boy. Revenge was a flower growing in my skull. Hey, is this what you meant by a metaphor? A cigarette singes my fingers. I forgot to smoke it. I ignore the bird's eye view of tears exploding onto confessions. I try so hard to remember how I got through, and I can't. I want to go back and tell them, you are at-risk youth. At risk of shredding every statistic. At risk of keeping your head up above all this blue. At risk of using hope to scrub your blood clean as judges' quarters. At risk of emptying clips of creation into cinder block lets more light in. At risk until prison shrinks smaller than folded poems. At risk of forgiving your parents for failing the best they could. One day, no one will ever pry another pencil from your hands. I wanted to tell them, I didn't write my first poem until I was 35. Malcolm X was incarcerated until he was 27. Gandhi didn't gather legs for protest until 46. Mandela reached into 30 years of prison and remerged with the presidency. You risks, you poems, you keys, enduring turn and grind. Miracles kept into darkness until dreams unlock locks. Nobody knows you yet, but they will. Downtown Santa Fe is beautiful. Boutiques of lovely eateries. One store sold native jewelry with Aztec origins. A pale-skinned woman behind the counter smiles at me through display glass like a prison visit. I spent so much time listening to elitists bowing to enjambment and diction, I failed to notice I've been reading all the wrong poems.